What is up, people? It is me, Monster58. Welcome back to another video review, and today we are going to be taking a look at the SH Monsterarts Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Stardust Dragon, the main partner monster to the main character of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's, known as Yusei Fudo. And so, just to give you guys an idea, yeah, I played and collected a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was younger, and even as I got older, I started to get back into it. I've been in and out of that hobby for a while. I've gotten more into Pokemon collecting overall, as you probably can see if you follow my social media. But just to give you guys an idea, here is Stardust Dragon's card, and so looks really, really good, obviously. And obviously, this monster is not only supposed to represent the monster you see here on the card, but is also supposed to represent the character and the monster that you saw in the anime. And you can see that there is a decent difference between obviously what we see there and what we'll see in the figure, especially when you can see the box already and all the product shots of the actual Stardust Dragon figure. But for the most part, you'll see it represents this very beautifully, and I'm really, really happy to finally have a figure of this character, of this monster. Really, really cool all around. So, setting this card off to the side here, we might bring that back in later. But taking a look at the box, you can see the very nice product shot here of Stardust Dragon. You can see the SH Monsterarts. I'm guessing this is Stardust Dragon in kanji. And then you can see the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's logo down there. You can see the Tamashii Nations logo. You can see the Bandai logo, the Bandai Namco logo. Just some more nice stuff up here. You can see the Stardust Dragon stuff. There's some more nice artwork here on the side and whatnot, more or less product shots and stuff. Actually, I don't know if this is more of a product shot rather than more of like a screen cap of the actual monster. Here's the same artwork here on the other side, and then on the back you can see your obligatory product shots. Trying to get that whole box in frame like that. There you go. You can see the obligatory product shots. I love how they make these boxes with like this crack and everything like that. I really like how that looks, and obviously you can see the very similar pose that you can see here with the Stardust Dragon in the actual card versus the actual figure itself. And you can see some more nice, poses. This pose in particular is from the card. I believe it's a trap card. It's Stardust something. Christ, I cannot remember. Stardust Road, maybe this is what this is called. I cannot remember. But this is on the card. This pose directly is on the card. So, regardless, really, really cool stuff. Very nice box as per usual. And so, with that all out of the way, without further ado, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the SH Monsterarts Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D Stardust Dragon out of the box, and I gotta say, guys, this looks really, really cool. Now, on the card, you'll see, like, I'll bring this back in, you can see it looks more white than anything else, and same thing with the show, but for the most part, they decided to go with a sort of more silver, which in a way makes more sense when you're thinking of Stardust. I don't know, I think the silver makes a little more sense when you're thinking of the figure, but it looks really, really good, and plus it helps with, like, color separation and looking at the details, because if this thing was all white, you could probably see that it would probably be hard to make out a lot of the details because there wouldn't be that much like ability to see between details and whatnot, ridges here and like the wings and stuff like that. But take a look here. I mean, he looks really, really good and represents the character that we saw both in the anime and on the card very beautifully. And so taking a look here, looking at the head sculpt, I mean, that looks really, really good. It looks very representative of the anime. You can see the nice blue there. You can see the silver. It just looks really, really good. Very nice all around. I mean, you can see the teeth are molded in quite nicely as well. I'm going to see if I can get that to focus, and you can see the tongue as well. Then you can go down here to the neck and stuff in the chest. You can see very nice details here. The purple is represented beautifully with this transparent plastic. Then you can see the nice blue as well to accent all this silver, which obviously Stardust Dragon definitely has. Then you can come down here. I mean, he just looks really, really good. You can see these nice details, and you can see details on the feet and the claws as well. And you can see obviously the big details in the wings and whatnot. And then we come around here on back, and then you can see some more nice molded in detail across the board. And then you can also see the detail here on the tail as well. Looks really, really nice. Overall, when it comes to a visual standpoint, I have no major issues with this figure, but there's one thing you can already kind of see that's wrong with this figure, and that's really the weight of the wings. Honestly, the wings just feel really flimsy. It's not that I don't think they're bad material. It's just I think that because they're so big, the joints that they have just don't hold it up at all. And so you can't really get this guy to stand without the wings just drooping down, which at the end of the day act like stabilizers, but also it makes it feel flimsy. Not that these have fallen apart or anything like that, but the plastic doesn't exactly feel all that thick. And I don't know, I worry over time that these joints will become so loose to the point where it'll completely hinder the balance of this figure. But again, I guess because they also end up drooping down already that they stabilize. I don't know. I just do not like how the wings feel. And they kind of make this guy, when you're messing around with him, it kind of makes it really annoying to mess around with him, which is why he does come with some accessories, and you'll see that as we get later into the review, which definitely help with that. But at the end of the day, I still can't deny that they feel very flimsy. But again, from both in comparison to the card, in comparison to the actual anime and everything like that, I actually think that they did a really good job of representing this character in figure form. So really, really nice there. So what we're going to do, I don't have any of the other Yu-Gi-Oh! SH Figure Arts, or SH Figure Arts, SH Monster Arts on me right now. So we're just going to do our box standard size comparison that you guys normally see. Alrighty folks, here is Stardust Dragon with the Transformers Legacy United in the Furnak Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, Stardust Dragon's absolutely going to be a bit bigger than a Deluxe Class figure, but he still stands decently close in terms of the size. I'd say Stardust Dragon is closer to a Voyager Class Transformer size, with obviously a lot of extra with the wings and everything like that, but from a pure height standpoint, he's about the size of a Voyager Class Transformer, and obviously when you bend the neck up, you're going to get much higher, but at the end of the day, I think he compares pretty well alongside a Voyager Transformer in terms of the height, but obviously the wingspan will change that drastically. Alrighty folks, with all that out of the way, it's time to get into the accessories, and he comes with a few. Mainly we'll start off with these two pairs of hands, so they're just more... Well, that, of course, I'm always dropping stuff when I'm reviewing, never when I'm just messing around with it. It's always when I'm reviewing, I'll always drop something. But he comes with one pair of extra hands. They're more open hands, and they replace the very similar way that anything from SH Monster Arts or Figure Arts does. You just remove the one, and then you just peg it back on, like so. Like that, and then you can see the difference here. We'll compare the regular hand to the extra hand. So this is the regular one, this is the extra one, and you can see this is much more open, and this is much more closed, right? So you can see the differences here. It's nice to have the option, but I don't really think I'll personally change it all that much, because I don't think that there's really that drastic of a change to where it'll make that much of a difference while posing. The other thing he comes with is just very interesting, and it actually goes along with the next accessory. He actually comes with another sort of crotch piece, and it has a little tab hole in there. The reason being is because he comes with the stand, and so the intention for the stand is, if you see right here, this panel right here in particular can be removed, and then you can peg on the new one. You'll see that there are two tiny little tab holes, and then there's that peg hole there. So you just peg this back on like so, and you peg the regular one on like so. But this is how you can get him prepped to go into his stand, which I'll show you here in just a second. But before we get into the stand, the one part of the stand I'd like to show you is his actual beam effect part that he comes with, which is this little bit right here. So let me just detach it. I should detach this before the review. But we're all good here. This beam effect part here. So this is supposed to represent his actual attack that he does in the show, called Cosmic Flare. It's called Shooting Sonic in Japanese, which is pretty cool. Or I believe in the the Bonds Beyond Time movie, when it was Elemental Hero, Neos, Dark Magician, and Stardust Dragon all attacked. They call it like Dark Cosmic Wave or something like that. So there's some pretty cool stuff. But taking a look at the actual beam effect part, it does look really, really good. Actually, funnily enough, I would argue that you could use this as like a atomic breath piece for Godzilla. It's actually really, really nice. You can see the sort of gradient goes from darker all the way here and then goes lighter up here. That's really nice. You can see the lightness here, and this is where the mouthpiece is. Now to attach it, I'll bring in the stand real quick here. So we're just going to sort of move Stardust Dragon off to the side there. Here's the stand and all of its attachments. So when you get the stand, there is a peg hole right there. You can see that right there. And then you just peg it onto this bit right here. So peg it on like so. And then there is your part of the stand. Now, these arms each are... Oh, come on. There we go. These arms are initially detached, so you just attach them on these points here. But you do have the part of the base where his... sort of crotch piece will lie, and you'll see there is a peg right there in the center of this bit so that he can sit on here quite nicely, and then these are used to support his wings. These are very similar to what we've gotten with a lot of other SH Monster Arts figures, not only just Yu-Gi-Oh! But Godzilla alike, where they need to support their wings. In particular, the one I'm thinking of right now at the top of my head is the SH Monster Arts 2019 King Ghidorah from King of the Monsters. So you get these, which are again no stranger to Bandai providing them. So at the end of the day, you get some really nice accessories, and so the integration of this, I'll show you how it works. So again, you have the little peg hole right there in that crotch piece, and then you just gotta settle him down, sort of right inside, and you just gotta line it up correctly. And I never have the best judgment of like depth of perception when it comes to like pegs. Like, there we go. Okay, so you can peg him on like that, and then you can take the wings and then you can set them in wherever these just sort of fit to give him support, like so. And you can obviously twist them and move them around to give him more support. But for the most part, there is Stardust Dragon, which funnily enough, that's the best I've actually gotten the wing. And of course they fall over. Yeah, the one thing I have an issue with these like supports is that they're never secure. I never like it takes 1,000 tries for me to get these to be secure. Because I think they're just so flimsy. The wings don't help themselves, but for the most part, you can see that this looks really cool. And then when we do this, then you can open his mouth, and then you can obviously simulate the cosmic flare. So that's pretty cool. But again, I don't know. It's just the thing that bothers me, even with the supports. I mean, look at that. Is just that his wings do not like to stay on the supports, and they're very flimsy. They're very heavy. They look fantastic. They just don't feel and function all as well as I would like them to. But you can get some cool stuff with this guy, like cool poses and whatnot. Which I'll show you how much articulation this guy is, which is actually a fair bit. Not the most, but it's a fair bit for Monsterarts. But it is nice to get the stand to help him be supported more. And for me, when I'm going to display him on my shelf later today, when I just bring him to that shelf, he is just going to stand on this as per usual. So when it comes to the accessories, like I said, he comes with a nice variety of them. Comes with the sort of classic stuff you'd expect from a Yu-Gi-Oh release. And so I'm not complaining here. I'm more like annoyed that the wings are so flimsy, and that's going to be my biggest gripe with this figure, if you can't tell already. So again, accessories pretty well done overall. Just the supports for the wings are not my favorite, and they haven't been ever since that they've introduced it. I've tried to use them. Alrighty guys, with all the accessories out of the way, it's time to get into the articulation. And I'll do my best to show it to you while on the stand, because I really just don't want to remove him from the stand. So for the articulation, we're just going to sort of move this out of the way. You can see the head is on a pretty crazy amount of joints. It's very similar to a tail in general, because his head is so cylindrical. So you can get some really cool stuff. So you have like a joint here, a joint here. So you can bend pretty far down, bend pretty far up. You can look side to side, and then you can move it at many different points. The jaw also opens and closes. The tongue actually is also technically articulated, but because his mouth doesn't open all that far, it's annoying to get it anywhere. The arms can also twist like this, and they rotate. They can go out, they can go in a bit. You have some decent bend here at the elbow. You also have rotation at the elbow, and then the hands are obviously on ball joints. Although you can't get them in too many poses, like in terms of the range of motion, but it is nice that they are in ball joints. The legs here will go forward, they'll go back, they'll bend about 90. They have rotation here as well, and then all these individual toes are articulated as well. So you have some nice spreadability when it comes to the sort of wideness of the pose that you'd like to get Stardust Dragon into. And then we come here to the back, we come here to the tail. Tail is very much like an SH Monsterarts tail, but it is really nicely articulated, so you can get some really deep bends with this, except for the very tip, but this is really not that hard to just reattach like... Oh, come on. I say it's not hard to reattach. I say it's not hard to reattach when I was reattaching this last night when it came off the first... Yeah, this... I can never, ever get a break when I'm reviewing. Never, ever get a break sometimes when I'm reviewing. You guys see me contradict myself immediately, but again, I trust me, it's really, yeah, see, it's not that hard to put back on, just a little bit of force there. The wings themselves, they have a joint here that they're attached to, and then you can also rotate each individual segment as well, which is nice, but again, they're so flimsy, man. I am not really a big fan of how these wings are constructed. They don't feel all that great in my opinion. I don't know if anyone else has different opinions about that than I do, but I'm just not quite... I am not quite a fan of how they did the the wings here. They just feel flimsy. They fall everywhere. I mean, you can see they don't even like to hold the poses as well as they probably could. But overall, when it comes to the articulation, surprisingly can move around pretty well. The only thing is, just like the other SH Monster Arts figures, the only way this guy can actually support his own weight is by using his tail as a stabilizer. So you have to be aware that that's going to be the case there. But for the most part, articulation is solid. It's just it's hampered because more or less of the functionality and construction of like the wings and stuff and the actual body itself. So yeah. Alrighty, folks, now this is probably the worst looking end screen that you've seen from me in a while, but it's the best I could do with the space that I'm given, so I apologize for that. But for my final and concluding thoughts on the SH Monster Arts Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D Stardust Dragon, this guy is pretty solid. Like I said, the major gripe I have with this guy is that, in general, the construction doesn't feel all that thick and high quality. When it comes to the actual like wings and everything like that, my biggest gripe is that they're just too heavy. I wish that they were on more secure joints, or that the joints were just tighter or heavier, so that these wings could be positioned more readily. Because, man, it's just really frustrating to work with these wings a lot of the time when you're trying to get into some nice poses, because they just fall over the place because they're so heavy, and the joints really don't work all that well. And plus, the plastic doesn't feel all that thick, and so I question the longevity of this over time. However, there's a lot of good things about this figure. First off, the surprises of the articulation. Despite obviously being hampered by the fact that the wings don't exactly like to be super cooperative in general. At the end of the day, he actually has a solid articulation for a monster creature figure. In addition to that, I also think that the paint is an absolute stellar job. They did a really good job with, even though it's not white, which is what most of us probably would have expected given the actual look of the card. At the end of the day, I am not mad at the fact that they went with more of this silver color. It looks really, really good, and it's really nice. It's sort of like this matte finish, and it makes me, brushed aluminum is what it reminds me of, right? So I really like that. And also, the accents of everything else are very accurate. The purple for his chest and his shoulder pads, the blue as well for all the accents as well, like on his arms, and his legs, and his feet, on his head, on his wings, on his tail, everywhere. The blue accents are also really nice and very accurate as well. In addition to that, he comes with a nice slew of accessories. Sure, the hands don't really make that much of a difference, but the fact is he comes with a piece to sort of on his crotch that will allow you to display him without the stand, and the one that will allow you to display him with the stand. And then obviously you get the stand, you get all the supports for it, and in addition to that, you get a beam effect part, which is the Cosmic Flare beam effect part, which in my opinion can not only be used for that, but can also be doubled and used as maybe an atomic breath piece for like a Godzilla or something like that. So has many purposes, even if you don't want to use it for Stardust Dragon, in my opinion. So overall, this is a really solid release. The other thing I'll say about it is the price. Sure, it is pretty expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. Do I think it's worth that much? I'd probably wait for a little bit of a sale to buy this guy. I personally think out of the SH Monster Arts releases that we've gotten from Yu-Gi-Oh!, this guy's probably the worst one. And it's not that it's particularly bad. It's just that, man, I have much more enjoyment handling Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, Flame Wingman, as well as Blue Eyes White Dragon compared to this guy. This guy feels the flimsiest. He feels the least well constructed, even though he's painted very well, comes with good accessories, good articulation, represents the character beautifully. Again, at the end of the day, that functionality kind of ruins a good amount of stuff about him for me. And so, out of a 10, I'm going to give this guy about a 7. Again, would I recommend this figure? As a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, I enjoy it, and I think that it is a really cool looking monster, and it represents the on-screen character and the card beautifully, and because I'm very much a fan of Stardust Dragon as a whole. But if you're not, I can absolutely, if you're not a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, if you don't care, I honestly can see you pass on this one. If personally, if I had, if you had to ask me to choose of the Yu-Gi-Oh releases, I'd probably get like Flame Wingman. Honestly, I think looking at Flame Wingman and maybe like Blue Eyes or Red Eyes, even Dark Magician, all the other ones in my opinion are just better releases. So if you're looking for something like from there, I think like for me, like even off the top of my head, I would actually grab Flame Wingman over this. So overall, again, would I recommend it? For Yu-Gi-Oh fans, yes. For non-Yu-Gi-Oh fans, you can easily pass on this. And if you're looking to pick it up as a non-Yu-Gi-Oh fan, wait for a sale. And even if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, I'd wait for a sale as well. So I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so leave a link in the description of that. I'll also leave links down below to Amazon. And I'll see where else I can find this guy that's reputable, maybe like Entertainment Earth or something like that. And I'll leave a link down in the description for this guy as well if you do wish to purchase him and buy him from those online retailers. Now, looking at his store IRL, you're more than likely going only going to be able to find this at like hobby stores and stuff like that, or your local toy shops. So I definitely look at those shops and see that this guy is in stock. Maybe you can buy it from there instead and go it in person. But for the most part, this is more or less an online only release, unless you have like a really nice store like that near you. And so I think that's really it for the review. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.